How's it going out there, everyone? It's been a couple of days since I posted my last video on Star Trek and why CBR believes that Uhura in Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country, had a problem with speaking Klingon. They're looking at Strange New Worlds and they're saying to us, hey, well, in Strange New Worlds, the young version of Uhura here can speak Klingon, and yet in Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country, she can't. What does this mean? Why is this a problem? Well, according to CBR, and we've talked about it already, but according to CBR, it was basically Uhura's age. I mean, honestly, to me right there, and I said it before, that sounded more like age discrimination. But anyway, the reason for this video right here is because some of you out there put out some very interesting comments, and they deserve to be answered. They really do. In my opinion, the answers are brilliant. They really are. Referencing episodes from the original series, referencing Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home. It's it just goes to show how much people care about something that they're able to throw it back at me and say, hey, did you take this into account? Hey, what about this? Did you forget about that? Anyway, I want to talk about some of these things, and let's see if we can clarify my position a little bit more on why I think what happened in Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country, had nothing to do with whether Uhura could speak Klingon or not, because she couldn't. TOS and the movies before Star Trek 6 clearly demonstrated that they, or rather, she, could not speak Klingon. And that this was just a fancy rewrite that modern day Star Trek wanted to give us. But let's get into it. Let me show you what I'm talking about and why I believe I'm right, and I'm going to still stand by my argument that she never spoke Klingon in the original series. Okay, first, before we get into the video itself, I want to apologize for something. First, for the lack of videos on this channel. If you've subscribed to the channel, you know for a while that I was making videos at least 2 or 3 every week, and it slowly has trickled down to maybe 2 or 1. But I have had a lot of family issues going on, kids in the hospital, so it's been a bumpy ride, and I had to take my computer to work in order to get a video out.
Systems report. Communications.
Communication systems all ready, sir. Communications officer as ready as she'll ever be.
Mr. Sulu.
Guidance is functional. Onboard computer will interface with Federation memory bag.
Weapon systems.
Operational, Admiral. Cloaking device now available on all flight modes.
Report, Mr. Scott.
We're ready, sir. I've converted the dilithium sequencer into something a little less primitive. And Admiral, I have replaced the Klingon food packs. They were giving me a sour stomach.
Oh, is that what it was?
Okay, so first let's start off with this scene right here from Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home. They're getting ready to depart back for Earth, and we get our first glimpse of what the Klingon bridge looks like after a 3-month stay on Vulcan. They've renovated the place. The bridge doesn't look anything like it did in Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. We have the communication system over here that looks way bigger than it did on the Search for Spock. And when Kirk asked the report on the systems and communications, here it comes back. Systems are basically functioning, and the communications officer is ready as she'll ever be. Sulu says guidance is functional. Onboard computer will interface with Federation memory banks. If you notice, the entire layout of the bridge, as I said before, has been completely redone. If you look at the bridge layout in The Search for Spock, it's way smaller than on the Voyage Home. So obviously, the Vulcans rearranged the layout of the bridge. Communications, everything, completely different. At least to me, it is quite clear that 3 months on Vulcan, the Vulcans obviously repaired the damage that was inflicted on the bird of prey by the Enterprise, but at the same time they were renovating it, making it more friendly to Federation citizens, which also means that technology being integrated into the systems were more Federation friendly, which means that Uhura not speaking Klingon, it wasn't necessary because the universal translator was there, and they were adapting the ship's technology to read Federation language. That's how they were able to pilot this vessel. Now, I know what some of you are going to say.
Mr. Scott,
Aye, sir.
how soon can we be underway?
Oh, give me one more day, sir. Damage control is easy. Reading Klingon, that's hard.
Mr. Scott,
Aye, sir.
how soon can we be underway?
Oh, give me one more day, sir. Damage control is easy. Reading Klingon, that's hard.
Okay, so Scotty's statement right there about reading Klingon. They obviously can read some Klingon. They're not fluent in it, but they can read it, and it's understandable when you figure that they've been in space and dealing with the Klingons on and off for their entire career. It's understandable that they could know some of the dialogue or dialect, but they are not fluent in it. They rely very much on the universal translator. All right, so remember now, people were saying in the comment section of my last video that the fact that she was able to sit in the communications chair of a Klingon vessel and be able to do her job with no problems is a clear demonstration that she can read Klingon, and that she was just having a memory problem, and age is one of the main factors of why she had to get books to help her read Klingon and speak the language in Star Trek 6. But let's not forget what we just saw here in Star Trek 4. The vessel, the Klingon vessel, was being renovated. I showed you shots of the layout of the bridge from Star Trek 3 and what it looked like in Star Trek 4. There was a layout change, computer technology was rearranged. It is quite clear, even Sulu even admitted that the onboard computer system could interface with Federation memory banks, which means they were able to attach it to the Starfleet, I guess, internet, and at the same time, renovate the ship's technology so it could be Federation friendly, universal translator included. This is not evidence that she could read Klingon fluently. It just means that she knew a little bit of the language and they integrated it in with Federation technology, kind of like Miles O'Brien in DS9, integrating Cardassian technology with Federation technology. Okay, so another good point that was brought up is the fact that in the original series, Uhura encounter with Nomad, he erased her memory, and so they had to re-educate her.
Repair that unit.
Not possible.
You restored Scott. He had much more extensive damage.
The unit Scott required simple structural repair. The knowledge banks of this unit have been wiped clean.
Captain, if that is correct, if there has been no brain damage, but only knowledge erased, she could be re-educated.
The dog. See the dog.
I'll sound it out.
Run.
That's it, Uhura. That's very good.
Si kumbuka.
Not Swahili, Uhura. In English. Do you think we can re-educate her, Doctor?
Well, she checks out with no brain damage. We've got all the educational tapes in our library. Now it's up to us.
Okay, so after Nomad erased her memory, the Enterprise crew was able to use the library tapes to help re-educate her, and it looked like they re-educated her really quick. I mean, she was on first grade level, and she also knew her native tongue, Swahili. So, it is quite possible that they could have taught her Klingon. I'm not going to deny that. But I'm going to have to go back to the fact that throughout the remainder of the series, there was no evidence to prove that she could speak Klingon. Something I said in my previous video was that after doing a Google search on the history of the original character, not the Kelvin timeline and not Kurtzman's version, but the original version of Lieutenant Uhura, there was no evidence to prove that she could speak Klingon. I know that there are going to be people out there trying to justify the gap between the two of them and explain the inconsistency between Strange New Worlds Uhura versus Star Trek The Undiscovered Countries Uhura. But there is no explanation for it. There really isn't. There is no proof. And I tried going back into the original series and seeing if there was any way that we could justify fan theory that explained the gap. But there is none. There honestly is none, at least as far as I can tell. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on this, so please drop them below and let me know. Until the next time, my friends, God bless.